Hi y'all, my name is Erica. I'm 33 years old and I have been following a carnivore-ish lifestyle for a little more than a month now. I posted a video somewhat recently talking about all of the benefits I have experienced by following this lifestyle, and I go into a little bit of detail about how I got started, why, and I am also 3 months postpartum and also following this diet. So if that video is something you're interested in, I will link that in the description. But we are in October. It is quite chilly here. So it is soup season in our house. And since this lifestyle that I'm following is new to me, I had to do what I do best. And I went to ChatGPT and I asked it to create a carnivore-ish friendly soup recipe. We are going to make it in the crock pot. We are going to be using chicken thighs. And like I said, this is carnivore-ish. So we are going to incorporate a little bit of dairy, but I will also put in the description a carnivore strict alternative if you are following a carnivore strict diet, but you would also like a soup recipe. So if that is something you're interested in, then just keep on watching. All right, so I have already added my chicken to the crock pot. We are gonna cook this on high for 3 to 5 hours. I use boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I used 2 packs from the brand Kirkland, which I get from Costco if anybody's interested. The next thing we're gonna do is we're going to add some beef tallow to the crock pot. This is one that I got from the farmer's market near our house. I do typically and initially started using another brand that I purchased off of Amazon that I actually really like. It's just this is what I have on hand, so I'm using that. But if you are interested in the other beef tallow that I'm talking about, I will link that in my Amazon storefront. You can purchase it there if you would like. I will add the exact directions and measurements in the description, but I like to measure with my heart, so we're just going to add what feels right here. Next, I'm going to add this organic chicken sipping bone broth. This is 32 ounces and it is the Kirkland brand. Also get this from Costco. You can get it in a big pack, like you can pretty much anything at Costco, and just going to pour that in. This is where things get carnivore-ish because I do use different seasonings. All I'm gonna be using today though, I'm gonna keep it light. I'm just gonna use pepper, salt, and garlic powder. I love the way garlic powder smells. I love anything garlic. I could breathe garlic and I would be happy. I can't go without garlic. And then adding salt, of course. And then just gonna take my spoon and mix this up. And like I said, I am gonna cook this on high for 3 to 5 hours, I think is as long as it will probably take. And then we'll come back and we'll check the internal temperature of the chicken to make sure it's cooked all the way through. And then we'll get to the second half of the recipe, which is making it a little bit more creamy. Okay, so I just got home a little bit ago. The chicken has been cooking in the crock pot for a little more than 4 hours. I got home a little bit later than expected. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna transfer the chicken thighs to a bowl and we're gonna use 2 forks to just shred it up, and then we're gonna add it back to the crock pot. I added the chicken back into the crock pot. The next thing we're gonna do to basically finish this soup up is we're going to do, the recipe calls for 1/2 cup of heavy cream and 1 egg yolk, but because I used more chicken than what the recipe called for, I might have to kind of just measure with my heart once again. So we're going to do that. You're also going to want to add a couple tablespoons of the broth to the heavy whipping cream and the egg yolk when you whisk it together. All right, now I'm just gonna add in a little bit of the broth from here, mix it together, and then we're just going to, once that's all mixed together, we're gonna add it back into the crock pot. And then we'll cook it for another 10-15 minutes on low, and then we'll give it a taste test. And then you just pour it in. and then I'm gonna bring you guys in closer so you can see what it looks like. Like I said, we're just gonna mix this all up and let it cook on low for another 10 to 15 minutes, and then it should be good to go. Okay, so it is taste test time. I'm not expecting to be completely blown out of the water because this isn't, you know, it's basically just chicken and broth and like a little bit of seasoning, but when you're following a carnivore lifestyle, your options are somewhat limited. So let's give it a taste and see how it is. You know, honestly, it's not bad. Like, I probably will add more salt to this, so season to your liking, but I don't like to over season. I like to just kind of add a little bit to give it like a nice base, and then whoever eats it can just add more as they feel is necessary. Yeah, this actually isn't too bad. And to be honest, if you wanted to add vegetables, if you didn't want to follow carnivore, you could easily add vegetables to this and it would taste like just like chicken noodle soup. It tastes like chicken noodle soup without all the extra stuff. Okay, if you make this, or if you have any recommendations on how to improve this and make this maybe a little bit tastier, let me know. Okay, bye.